Hello, and thank you for choosing to listen to this episode of the podcast. My name is Ashley, and I am a current music therapy intern with Hillcroft. For my research project, I decided to interview Hillcroft's podcast group to get their insights on language surrounding disabilities and their own documentation. Here's the first portion of our interview. So I thought today we could just talk about how people talk about people with disabilities. So I have a couple...
The way.
Right, the way that people talk about them.
Yeah.
So I have some questions, and we can start with those, and then we'll just follow wherever the conversation takes us.
Yeah.
All right. So what was it like for you all growing up with disabilities? Did you ever feel like you were different from other kids who weren't disabled?
No, I was pretty good.
Yeah, you felt like everybody welcomed you?
Everybody respected me.
Okay.
Except some of my teachers.
Okay, so the kids were respectful.
Yeah, I didn't have to do much to get the teachers to yell at me.
What sorts of things would they get on you for?
One time my teacher called me a nut before.
A nut?
Yeah.
Oh.
And because I didn't even know they were allowed to say that and stuff.
Yeah. So teachers would call you names.
Yeah. And I did not yell back or anything. I just had to take it.
Right.
I could have reported it to the principal, but it would have made it worse for me.
Right. Yeah. It's sort of like you're worried about getting on somebody's bad side for sticking up for yourself. Yeah. James, what about you? Oh, go to Mark first.
Yeah.
What was it like growing up, Mark?
I felt welcome too.
Yeah, you did? In school and everything?
Yeah.
Okay. James, what was it like growing up for you?
In school?
Yeah, in school or at home or...
Well, in school, when I was at Wilson High School, a teacher, every time I jerked or have a tread tick, the teacher would ask me to take off a strip of clothing and my pants and my shoes and everything. And my underwear, I had to go down to the shoe store. And then I had to go to school and people threw food at me and everything. People wrote on my graffiti on my locker saying James is a twitch, a truck twitch. And I had to live my life like that. And people picked on me and people hit me and punched me and knocked me around because I was different.
Yeah.
You know?
That teacher should have been fired.
Well, my mom tried to, but her husband was a lawyer. She kept her job. My mom just took me out of school and got me a tutor. Growing my life up wasn't an easy task. It was not easy.
Yeah.
Say that.
Yeah. That sounds really difficult.
Yeah.
I miss you coming in.
I'm real better than what I used to be.
Yeah.
But growing up I have a lot of anxiety about my past, and people ask me why I'm angry half the time, and I guess that's why.
Yeah.
We understand you've been through hell.
Well, I have. People are still judging. There's some people out there. I ride the bus sometimes. I have these jerks and twitches, and people, they hold the purse close to them. And I say, I don't mean you no wrong.
Yeah.
It's happened countless of times.
I wish
just try to be independent.
Not every teacher's like that.
No.
I had one teacher in kindergarten who was very nice.
Yeah.
Not all my teachers was bad. Just that one who worked at Central and
went to
South
Central.
Side.
Right. What do you think?
She's the one who made me go crazy all these years.
What do you think would? Why was it only a few teachers who were mean to you? What do you think was making them feel like they had to be mean to you.
Was it me that said that?
Me, I said that.
Or he did.
Yeah.
I only had one teacher who I don't care for. She would always yell at me for no reason
In school?
in school. I couldn't do nothing right.
I felt that way too.
Yeah.
I felt like when I jerked on my pencil or jerked from my desk over, it was just like.
And my mom didn't believe me. My mom sided with the teacher.
And sometimes when I have Tourette, now, my mom, she's older. When I say the N word, I mean, I don't say it all the time like I used to. I'll say, Mom, I'm sorry, but sometimes cursing is a part of that, which you know that.
What'd she say?
She said, Jimmy, you got to control that. Please get it under control. And me here will be saying, Mom, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say it.
Mm-hmm.
And I jerked, and she like put your arm in the seatbelt and you found me. And it's like, it is what it is. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't.
She understands.
She does.
Yeah.
Or she wouldn't be with me still.
Yeah. Yeah.
So James, I have a question.
I don't know.
Oh no, you're doing great.
You're doing great, James.
I was wondering if you had noticed what changed for you.
Huh?
That now.
Huh?
I was wondering what you've known has changed for you over the years that makes it to not have so many tics, because I know a few things that I notice. I didn't know you had Tourette's for a long time until I see you in new situations.
Yeah,
I think you tend to have more tics then, or when things start to get
Oh, you noticed that.
really loud. But what I'm saying is that I knew you for a long time and didn't even know.
I never heard him say the N word.
No, I haven't either. But I have heard you have some vocal ones, and I think that's extremely
sometimes I
unfair.
have a lot of pressure or something like that.
I think it's unfair for your BC to tell you what kind of Tourette's you
Yeah,
have.
she'll tell me that. And I tell her, I was like, you don't have what I have. How could you even know?
Mark, I have a question. Do you have a BC also?
You know. You do?
So I think you guys all have a different BC.
Yeah.
Maybe a way we can get Mark in on the conversation
Yeah, let's do
is
it, Mark.
specifically, how does your BC talk to you, and how does
Right.
do you feel like your BC understands you? What's a way that your BC does talk to you?
District 3, Alice District 3.
Like when I go see a movie and stuff.
Does she take you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you feel like you have freedom of choice, and that your BC does what you asked? If you are having a hard day and somebody has said to you, hey, this isn't the right way of doing that, or I think there's a problem here, would you be able to talk about that with your BC? Yeah. What about you, James? If somebody said that something was going hard, would you be able to talk about it with your BC?
Huh?
Would you be able to talk about having a hard day with your behavior consultant?
If something happened to me or somebody said something to me.
Yeah.
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 That part I do.
Yeah. What about you, James?
He's a very nice BC. He has been stern with me, but not, that's because I understand why he would be stern with me. But he's not being mean about it.
So I'm hearing that he has some. He's not just sugarcoating things, right? Or not just treating you like a child. He has expectations for you.
Yeah, he actually has to be stern with me sometimes to get me to pay attention and focus more.
Okay. Does that work for you?
Yeah, he don't yell or nothing. You could be stern with someone and not yell. Just like any trainer over here will be stern with you, but that don't mean they're being mean or nothing. That means they still like you, and they just want you to do. And one time, I snuck out the movie theater. I was making excuses why I couldn't sit in the chair, and Joe was stern with me then about it. In the movie theater chair.
Did you two understand each other by the end of your conversation?
Yeah, and I was making excuses why I couldn't. And he said that's actually a waste of money if you don't sit all the way through the movie.
It's true. Do you know what a reason was that you were trying to get away from the movie?
It was boring, I thought. I should have told Joe before I went in there.
Okay.
I maybe told him before I got in the theater or something.
Well, maybe you didn't know what it was going to be about.
Yeah.
So I'm going to let Ashley make Mark talk more.
Hear that, Mark?
Mark's got good insights on stuff. You guys all do.
Yeah, so I have another question. So some people will say the word disability, but other people say things like a person is special needs or special ed, or use like differently abled. There's all sorts of different terms that people try to use. What do you think about the word disability?
Sometimes it can be a nice word, sometimes it's not.
Okay. When is it a good term to use? When is it nice?
When people are saying it in a nice way and stuff.
Can you give me an example?
If it's not mean people.
So if it's like a person you trust. So like we were just saying, you're BC. Okay. So when it's not a mean person saying it to you, then you said sometimes it's nice, sometimes it's not. When is saying the word disabled not?
When you say it in a real fast way or something.
When someone you don't trust and he or she says it like this, oh, he has a disability, like that.
Sort of like dismissing it.
In a mockish voice.
Mocking you, yeah. So, James, what about you? Daniel and Mark kind of answered this one. What do you think about the term disability?
I've had people call me snap, crackle, and pop because I jump around. I've had people hurt me by saying that I'm retarded. I'm on drugs because they didn't know. Like short and do that stuff. I can't help it. I've had people come up in school and say, "Hey, Twitch, I heard you're twitching. You're a kid, students in school would do that thing on no, they didn't have cell phones much back then. When they did, they called me Twitch. Hey, Twitch, what's going on? Everybody would talk about me and look at me when I come to school and say, your mom dropped off a Twitch. Yeah, that's okay though.
Yeah.
It's all right.
So yeah, but if somebody were to just say, like if somebody was introducing you, they'd say, "This is my friend James.
Yeah.
James has a disability."
Yeah, I tried to explain it back in the day, but you know.
Yeah.
So I think another way of maybe asking this question is, James, do you want people, when they first meet you, to know that you have a disability?
Yes, I used to be real mean about it and say, I got Tourette's, please don't pick on me. But now I'm very soft about it. As I got older, I realized that being mean ain't the way to go. I said, well, when people they look at me odd, I say, hey, I have what they call a Tourette's syndrome. Do you know what that is? I don't mean no harm.
Yeah.
And they say, oh, I know what it is. People hear about it now. I was diagnosed with it at Raleigh Hospital when I was 9. And I said, yes, I do know what that is. And I have friends, you'd be surprised at all people. Some people I talk to, their sister has it.
Yeah.
But you know what's so good about it?
What?
Men have it more than women do. Women don't have it as bad as men do.
I got a cousin who has
They don't.
Tourette's.
They don't.
I would say that my perception of it is that more men have it, but I work with more men.
Yeah.
Because
It's not as bad in women.
I honestly don't know, but I know that I work with more men because it's normally men that end up in the day facility stuff.
Yeah.
Even if the number of women with the same disabilities you guys have is the same, there's a difference in how men and women are treated.
Yeah.
And how the perception
It
about
is.
how
Yeah.
control is and who's
It
required to
hurts.
work. It's expected that men work, but the girl can stay home.
Yeah, my cousin's a girl and she has Tourette's.
Oh,
Your
really?
phone's on time to
I don't. I don't have Tourette's.
No, I mean, it's all kinds of different. So your perception is that you don't mind the term disability.
Right, I don't mind.
You're okay being like,
Yeah.
I'm disabled, I have a disability.
But I'd rather them say to me, I have a, what do you call it, another name for it. I don't like to be called a retarded person. I like to be called a slow person. And what do you call that? It's called, there's no name for it. Special needs people. Is that bad to say?
No? Well, that's what
That's what I'm asking you.
Special need. I'd rather say special need because in God's eyes, we are special to Him.
Yeah.
So there's a huge campaign, especially in Indiana, to remove the word retarded from
Yeah.
all of the state
I heard about that.
documentation stuff, right? Remove the R word. When I first started working at Hillcroft in 2016 is when that officially passed in Indiana. It had been slowly being taken out for many years before that. I was actually interested. Hannah had a book where she had a reference, and it was from 1998. And I asked her whether the language was mental retardation or intellectual disability, because that's what everybody's saying now, right? And she said that it did say intellectual disability.
It
So
did.
I think for a while we've been trying to change the language, but it took until 2016 for the law to change.
Yeah.
And that was when Disability Awareness Month was declared by our mayor in Muncie.
Good.
Right? And
Yeah.
that's why we started doing the March advocacy things.
There is a way to prevent not saying it. There is a way for the R word not to come out of our mouths. Just don't say it. Yeah.
But with Tourette people, it's different to me because,
Yeah.
see, when you hear somebody say something on TV or say something, it gets stuck in a Tourette person's head. You know
Yeah.
about that. It's called the glucose to the brain. There's no surgery that can help it. And if there is, I've seen it.
Yeah.
You ever seen how they operate when in the thing, they put a still thing, you'll be alive
Yeah.
when they do it. But see, they take a whole piece of chunk out of your head and put something to control it. It's an 80 to 100% chance you will survive it, and you will die if you
Yeah.
don't survive.
My
It controls it forever, but some people don't survive it.
my dad was in the army.
I'm too afraid to chance it. My mom wanted to go for it. I said, I've already seen the film. I do not want to go for it.
Well, that's your choice, right? So here's another question about the term disabled. What do you think a disability is?
But I think my disability
What is another person's disability? Or who else is disabled? Mark, when you think about the word disability, outside of yourself, what do you think about? Or who do you think about?
Sometimes it's nice, sometimes it's not.
Oh.
Yeah? So, when you are,
Oh.
I don't know, like I'm kind of thinking about like, the word disability means lots of different things, right?
Yeah.
It can mean physical disabilities, it can mean intellectual, a combination of them. So I think that's kind of what I was getting at, like, when you picture somebody that's disabled, what do you picture?
I've seen on the billboards.
So you're thinking about our advocacy efforts in getting our people on the billboards, right?
Yeah.
James, you got an idea?
I noticed that Mark does very good with his disability. I'll see him from time to time.
Yeah.
And I think he's very friendly to people at the bus station. He interacts with people. I'm proud of him. And that helps me. And And Daniel, he's really
Yeah.
came a long way, and I have to. And we got to realize that he
Yeah.
came a long way from where back we were. And
We all
we
got
see people,
problems.
right, Dan, we do. It's the way we handle the problems
Yeah.
of disability, too. But see, my point of view is before we leave today, I just want to say I commend it, because we have come far.
Yeah.
And back in the 16 and 1700s, they used to torture people with disabilities. And it's sad.
Yep.
Ask these two, 14, 15, back in the years and years
Not even that
ago.
long ago.
Because they thought they was demon possessed. They would torture them, kill them. Bad.
That's wrong.
And it was wrong, but that's the way it went. And before we leave here, I just want to say this, that everyone here in this room, everybody here, including myself, I've noticed through the years, there may be sadness in the future, but we look at people, the way I look at people, I'm 57 years old. I don't look at people with disability or anything like that anymore. It's how we handle how we accept others and ourselves to have it. There's many people, I saw at Walmart a couple weeks ago when I was on the south side. A lady walked by and she said hi to me. She looked at me because she didn't, she was about an arm. And she looked at me and walked by me. She looked at me. I said, hi, how you doing today? And she said, I am fine, thank you. Not because I looked at her arm, I looked at her in the face and I said, hi back. People worry about that. And, I don't look at people that way. I look at their hearts. We have to.
Yeah.
It's how you treat your friends with disabilities.
Yeah.
It makes them understand. They remember, they know how to treat
Yeah.
them. They remember.
The next week, I joined the podcast group again to continue our interview, specifically focusing on documentation.
So last week we talked about sort of the way that people talk about disabilities, how staff talk about us. Today, I was hoping we could talk more about like documentation stuff. So the way that we're writing it in like official documentation. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Okay, cool. Have you all heard about Leanne Cole wanting everybody to be part of their own documentation?
What's,
No.
No. Okay, so Mark, you have heard this before?
I have not. I have
What's
not.
being part of the documentation?
Yeah, so Leanne Cole has asked kind of like all the employees, and she's talked to some clients about it, that she wants clients to help their staff write their own documentation. So like after a music session, you would work with your music therapist and help them write the session note for your session. Or after you meet with your BC, you would help them talk about like what happened in your session and write a note about it that would go in Therap, where all our notes go. So does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
What Leanne means
You
about
like
that?
the BC in my home or anything like that?
Yeah, or if you have house staff helping them sort of write like a summary of what happened, write session notes about it.
Right.
So what do you think about being part of that?
I think it's
Like-
good. I think it's a good idea. Yeah. I'm all for it.
I'm for it. I'm front for it too.
You're for it? What do
Yeah.
you think, Mark?
Eh?
You think it's a good idea? Okay, cool.
I don't see a problem with it.
Why do you think that Hillcroft is trying to start that new plan?
I think that they want people to do more, learn new things, and have more things to do where you're just not just sitting. And I think that's great.
So learning to do new things?
Yeah, because doing nothing is no fun.
Mm-hmm.
No fun at all. I always try to do something to keep me occupied a lot.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. What about, do you think it would help you feel like you were more in charge of your treatment plan?
I'm still thinking on that. I'll get back to you on
Yeah.
that.
So if you were able to write all your own documentation with your staff, would that help you feel like you're more in control of like all your sessions? And you're working with your staff isn't like in charge of you?
I actually wouldn't know till I do it.
That's a good point. Hard to know until you try it.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, Bobby. Good to see ya. So we were talking about Leanne Cole has introduced that she wants all the clients to be part of writing their own documentation with their staff.
You don't have staff? Well, you have staff here. Did you know that when you're at in day service program that we have to document on you, and music has to document on you, and when you go out in the community with staff, that also has documentation. So just because they're not at your house doesn't mean you don't have them. I'm technically one of your staff. You're my boss. So that sometimes I've written some notes with some of you guys, and this is one reason why I found that it helps us understand the goals of each other.
Yeah.
So if you could, would you like to be part of writing your own documentation with your staff?
Yeah.
Daniel says yes. You think so? Okay. Mark, what do you think? Is that a maybe, Bobby? Okay. But Mark, you say yes? Okay, cool. Let's see. So I wrote down some examples of stuff that I found in some of your documentation. One was a note from CU, and it says, socialize, hung out with friends, interacted with staff, ate lunch, walk around Creativity Unlimited, watched TV, sat outside, participated in Surprising Leanne. Do we think that that was a good documentation note or a not so good one?
Good one.
What makes it a good note?
This is, I don't know.
That's okay. So, a good note, according to the Music Therapy Association, is that it's objective, so it doesn't have personal opinions in it.
Such as, Daniel was good today.
Yeah.
Like, that wouldn't be something we'd write in there. Or, Daniel was really bad today. 'Cause that's not objective, right? It's not what you did or didn't do.
No. And sometimes we could, you're not really trying to say that we're super bad. We're just bad on our voice in the choir. Is that what you're trying to say?
Nope. I mean that somebody passing an opinion about whether or not you had a good day without asking you whether or not you had a good day. Because it's not for me to say, oh, Daniel had a good day today, but you might have actually had a really terrible day, right? Maybe you were unhappy, but I told everybody that you were good.
Yeah.
Now, Daniel reports that he had a good day because if you told me after you had a good day, I'd write what you had done that day to have a good day.
Yeah, and what would happen if you found out by somebody different?
It's not that big of a deal. We want to make sure we're being honest to you, right?
Yeah.
That's what this is about. We're making sure that we're not speaking about you and we're speaking for you. Or you, more importantly, are speaking for yourself. So the person that had that CU day, do you think it's all enjoyable things that they were doing?
Yeah.
What do you think, Mark? Is it all things that you would do? Probably. Did it give a good example that you did like lots of different things with your day?
Yeah.
Okay. I bet you.
Yeah. So this one, it doesn't have any opinions in it, right? It doesn't say that somebody was good or bad or had a good or bad day. It just says, this is what I saw this person doing. So that's what makes it a good note then.
That's what makes it good now.
Yeah. Okay. So what about this one? This is another CU note. It says, sat and socialized, ate, and hung out with peers.
That's nice.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Mark, what do you think makes that a good note?
like if you're usually quiet and sit by yourself.
Maybe.
So is that something you would write in like a note for yourself?
Uh-huh.
You would just say that you kind of sat by yourself and you had a quiet day?
Yeah. Or somebody asked me to sit over there with them, and they tell you that they're not gonna bite. They don't bite.
They don't bite. So you like to be invited to join people?
Uh-huh.
I think Mark's touching on something important. That idea of socialize with friends versus sat quietly is neither good or bad, right? It's what your choice is and maybe what opportunities you were given. So I could still say invite Mark to sit with me. Mark was invited to sit with peers, but chose to sit by himself today. Said he had a lovely lunch, right? Like that's not bad. That's good. If that's what you want to do, that's fine.
There's no judgment here.
Or wanting to sit with them, that's fine.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Or maybe if you want to sit with them, you can ask if you can sit with them.
Or some.
Instead of waiting for them to ask you, you can do both things.
Yeah.
And that's what this note's actually trying to find out, whether you were being pushed out of an invitation or whether you did what you wanted to do. Right? That's really what we're actually trying to find out.
Yeah.
Right. So even though we said that this was a pretty good note, it could be even better if Mark, you got to work with your staff and say, this person invited me and I accepted their invite and I had a good day because like I got to hang out with my friends. So even though it's good, if you get to work on your note with your staff, it could be even better.
So, Mark, you might be a good one to answer this question. James, if you're listening, you might be a good one to answer. Bobby, how has your meetings changed since you were in high school? You have a lot? They changed a lot? When you were in high school and you started having a case manager and they started talking about what you were going to do after school, Mark, what are some of the things that you talk about? You didn't have one in school?
And
When did you first get a case manager?
since I was a streeter.
Okay. So you guys didn't even get case managers until 2000s? Or was it in the 90s?
2000s.
Okay. So that means something else changed, right?
Yeah.
90s? In the 80s? When you started at Hillcroft, well, Mark, you worked in the community for a little bit first, right? Yeah, so maybe you came to us a little bit later. But Bobby, you've been here right out of high school, right?
Yeah, me too.
Mm-hmm. Well, Daniel, I think this is where your age difference comes from. Yeah, you had other jobs and around this too.
Yeah.
So, Daniel, what year did you graduate high school?
Yeah, I don't remember that. It's been so long ago.
How old are you?
I'm going to be 27 this coming June. I'm 26 right now.
So did you graduate in like 2016?
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds right, because I think you were pretty new whenever I first started here.
Yeah, and there was no case manager where I went to school, but I did have a speech therapist in school back when I used to stutter a lot.
So your first example, did you have an IEP in school?
Yeah.
Bobby, did you have an IEP or somebody that talked about how your schooling was going to be different than other people's schooling? Yeah. So you used to have meetings like that?
Yeah.
Do you think that you have more of a voice now in your meetings than you did then, or is it the same? Now? You have more? Mark, what about you? A little bit. I think that's important for you because it is harder for more people to understand you. Right?
Yeah.
So, Mark, what do you think about when you first started having meetings versus now when you have meetings?
And it was good.
Did your team listen to you when you were younger? Has that changed at all?
And
No? And you've had some different case managers, right? And they still listen to you? Who's the person on your team that listens to, that stops everybody else talking and listens to you? Is there a person on your team that does that?
I don't remember.
Who is that person, Mark?
case manager I have now.
Excellent.
I had several case managers over here.
Who's somebody on your team that always listens to what you want to do? Instead of your mom, or listen to somebody at Hillcroft, or...
My case managers never worked in this building.
That's right, they don't work here, they work for an independent company.
They just come here for my meetings.
Bobby says it's me. I stop and make sure you get listened to. So what I'm hearing overall is that you guys have been pretty happy with your meetings all along, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah.
So maybe the thing that's changing is the legal things that they tell us how to do it, and maybe you've just been really lucky and had nice people.
Yeah.
I would like to say a special thank you to the members of the podcast group for telling me your stories and sharing your thoughts with me. And thank you again for choosing to listen to this episode of Hillcroft's podcast.